2.
Lord, who may dwell in your sacred tent? Who may live on your holy mountain? The one whose walk is blameless, who does what is righteous, who speaks the truth from their heart, whose tongue utters no slander, who does no wrong to a neighbour, and casts no slur on others, who despises a vile person, but honours those who fear the Lord, who keeps an oath even when it hurts, and does not change their mind, who lends money to the poor without interest, who does not accept a bribe against the innocent. Whoever does these things will never be shaken.
Lord, who can dwell in your sacred tent? Who may live on your holy mountain? There's an image of Christianity of being about morals, about behaviour, and that's all. About being a nice person, perhaps a bit of a doormat, somebody who goes to church every week. Psalm 15, though, doesn't take us in this direction at all. And sometimes that image, if we try and live up to it, can bring guilt into our lives. What Psalm 15 does, it tells us how we can come into God's presence. It swaps guilt for good news. So what is this sanctuary, this holy hill? Well, it first appears in Genesis in chapter 2 and verse 10, section about God placing Adam in the Garden of Eden, in that paradise. Genesis 2:10 states that a river watering the garden flows from Eden. Also in Ezekiel 28, we see that Eden was actually a mountain. Mount Eden is the holy hill. In Genesis 3, Adam sinned. In verses 23 and 24, God banished him from the Garden of Eden, from this mountain, to work the land from which he had been taken. Because of his sin, man was barred from being with God on this holy hill. By the time David wrote this psalm, Mount Eden, which means delight, is now Mount Zion, and actually Zion means drought. And this is what human sin does. It turns delight into drought. In 2 Samuel 6, David moves the tabernacle there. In the tabernacle was a copy, a picture for all of Israel to see the Garden of Eden in its Holy of Holies. The sanctuary is where the Lord lives, a little copy of paradise. So verse 1 asks, who's guaranteed eternity in this paradise? And verse 2 gives the Lord's answer, he whose walk is blameless and does what is righteous. We can't just say I'm fairly blameless. It's clear cut. You're in or you're not. If you're not blameless, you're not coming in. He who speaks the truth from his heart. He who does his neighbour no wrong. The longer Psalm 15 goes on, the more we know that we don't fit this description. We have no right on this holy hill. Some think it's easy, that heaven is for all of us. But look at the qualification the Lord has laid down. In fact, 10 qualifications that can condemn. Psalm 14 and 15 tell us that however good we think our lives have been, we're not good enough to stand on God's holy hill. So we cry with David at the end of Psalm 14, oh, that salvation for Israel would come out of Zion. The Lord is going to have to rescue us. A holy one who can do all of that is what Psalm 15 is about. The next psalm we read, I've set the Lord always before me, because he is at my right hand, that I will not be shaken. So who is this holy one? Well, anyone in Israel can say it's the high priest. The high priest's uniform included the gold plate tied to the front of the turban, and on it was written, Holy is the Lord. Only the high priest could enter the Lord's presence in the sanctuary. All high priests went only into that mini model of the Holy of Holies, because they were only copies or models of the true high priest. That's Jesus, of course. Jesus ascended to heaven itself. That's why Psalm 15 is used on Ascension Day. Jesus now sits enthroned, installed in this holy hill. We have a best friend, a brother in the high place. There is the one who is holy for us. And simply trusting in our high priests, we can enjoy all that he has. So guilt, self-obsession and striving to win God's favour can be replaced with rejoicing, with trust in a paradise that's already won for us. Our acceptance is not won by our feeble attempts at holiness, but has been won by Jesus, our high priest. Our unworthiness, our guilt, our shame, that we can feel feel inside ourselves, should drive us to Jesus. And we know that Jesus' perfect holiness has covered all of our unholiness. We've been rescued from corruption and have been given this holy future, and we've been given it freely, a free gift from God. All we have to do is knock. He stands at the door, we open it, and we have that guaranteed certainty with Jesus in paradise. So we never despair, as we have this unshakable foundation in Jesus. Through him we become holy and unshakable. So as we pray, we can celebrate this, but we can also remember the commission that Jesus gave us to share this good news with others.